How the devil are we? Oh my goodness, harassed by the police. Dear, dear, dear. Under threat of being arrested. That's nice, isn't it? Oh, it's good to know that the police are threatening to arrest people, aren't they, if they don't give them their names. Absolutely unbelievable. So, what have we got here? What have we got here? I have to say, all credit to Wings Over Scotland. And the fact that they are doing some incredible stuff here. Let me just make sure I'm giving their name. Oh, there we are there. Fantastic, 5 people watching already. Woof. So, they're doing some incredible stuff on the backdrop of everything else that's happening. I'm not sure about the guys that work with it. I don't really know anything about them, but purely on their journalistic input just now, these guys have done really well. So, Reverend Stuart Campbell again. Let me just get this up, see if we can keep the chat on, if anyone wants to speak to me. The invisible weaving. Now, this on the back of everything else. So this was March the 20th, 2021, by Reverend Stuart Campbell in Wings Over Scotland. And this, on top of everything else, just seems to be absolutely incredible. So, invisible weaving. Word reached us from this afternoon's meeting of the SNP NEC. Hi there, hi Bernd, how you doing? Give us the shit of a cranky. Word reached us from this afternoon's meeting of the SNP NEC that three members, oh, I shouldn't laugh, 3 members of the signs as an echo, has it? Let me just try and fix that for you. You know, I'd love to make sure you guys are okay. Is that any better? Tell me if it's better. Michael, tell me if it's better. Are we coming through any better? Is that worse? Not the same? Have we still got an echo? Hello, Adolf. Have we still got an echo? Let me just check. I'm gonna have to. You guys are not talking to me just now. Let's just check if we've got an echo. Better. Michael, tell me if it's better. Are we coming through any better? Is that worse? Not the same. Let me try. Have we still got an echo? Hello, Adolf. Have we still got an echo? Hello, is that better? Is that better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. I'm gonna have to. You guys are not talking to me just now. Let's just check if we've got an echo. Better. Michael, tell me. Working, is it? Is that better, guys? Still an echo. Bad echo, right? Yes, that's better. Still an echo. Bad again. Worse. Too bad. Right, okay. Okay, so what's that on? So that is on mono. Wonder if I could do it this way. Is there an echo now? Tell me what better. Is that better? Okay. Is that okay, guys? Is that better? Better. Fantastic, guys. Let's get cracking on with this. I don't know what's happening with this sound card. I'm now not wondering if it's a sound card on the actual laptop now, so I'm not sure. So let's go straight into this. Let's see this. This is a cracker. Word reaches us from this afternoon's meeting of the of the SNP National Executive Committee. The 3 members of the Finance and Audit Committee, i.e. about half of it, we believe, have resigned on the basis that they are responsible for the party's finances but are unable to carry out their duties as Chief Executive. Peter Morrell, obviously Nicola Sturgeon's husband, refuses to give them access to them. So On top of everything else, Mr. Morell, who may be up in perjury charges, we don't know yet, has refused to give the members of the Finance and Audit Committee access to the SNP's books for them to carry out a proper audit. I mean, what? It gets better. Finance and Audit Committee. Wait till I get your comments up here, guys. Perfect. Change it again. That's it. Don't change. Right, that's fantastic, guys. Better, better, better. No echo now. Fantastic. Obviously it works in that. Peter, support. Finance and Audit Committee supports the NEC in the effective identification and management of systems of financial management and control to assure financial probity and transparency and effective financial stewardship and management within the SNP. Members of the Finance and Audit Committee are appointed by the National Treasurer. Oh, well, that's pretty par for the course for any party. That's just the general remit. We don't yet know if it's specifically in relation to the missing £600,000 in ring-fenced fundraised money that was supposed to have been earmarked for the use in a second independence referendum campaign, but which cannot be identified in the records of a party which last published accounts showed only 97,000 in the bank. He's still kicking them. He's still kicking them. So, £503,000 for the second independence referendum has just spirited away somewhere. That's very interesting, isn't it? The SNP infamously claimed it was woven through the... the SNP infamously claimed it was woven through the figures. Wings has received no reply to the letter we sent on behalf of some concerned members to Party Treasurer Douglas Chapman on the subject more than 2 months ago. And just took a phone call from my local SNP branch asking me for a donation. When I asked what it was for, I was told, I kid you not, a ring-fenced referendum fund. When I asked where the first one went, the answer was, I can't comment about that. Oh, come on. I seen that about 90 grand in the bank in December 1990. The skin. Yeah, it's not just the skin. People have now resigned and from the Treasury Committee, and there's a missing £500,000. We gathered that the three are Frank Ross, a qualified chartered accountant and current Lord Provost of Edinburgh Council, Livingston Company Director Cynthia Guthrie, and Mid-Scotland and Fife NEC member Alison Graham. We bring you more on this breaking story as we're getting it. Read the entirety. Oh my goodness. Oh, here we go. So there's more. When we get it. So, edited at 5:24 p.m. We're told that some of the unease over the party's finance is due to what are apparent massive bank charges, which suggest they must be massive. £500,000 in bank charges. Massive bank charges, which suggest that it may be running an overdraft, although we can't verify that part for certain yet. We also gather that a number of members have threatened the party with legal action over the regional list candidates. Remember, people were just bumped up to the top. These very poor political candidates were just been bumped up ahead of a whole bunch of people who probably waited years to actually get on the party list, and they've just been rubbed out. What the hell happened there? Regional selection, which the party lawyers told them were probably illegal, so they've done something illegal. Not the first time. Something illegal, and would probably be expensively defeated if challenged in a court. Not the first time the SNP are going to be beaten in a courtroom, is it? Oh my goodness, come on. So far we understand that those complaining have only sent letters and not actual court action has been initiated. So I would initiate that court action. That's what I would do. They're obviously, Nicola Sturgeon's just trying to gerrymander the process of the selection of candidates, a bit like North Korea. So that's what she's obviously done, not through anything democratic. So if I was internally within the SNP, I would be definitely 100% taking court action. The party has now published the minutes of the meeting to members, which contain no mention of resignations. So remember, the 3 people who resigned from the Finance and Accounts Committee, or Finance and Audit, or whatever it is. Wings have seen evidence confirming the resignations definitely happened. They say, so the SNP have covered up the resignations on the back of this missing £500,000. Oh, come on. Oh, so the NEC were delighted to hear that there has been a 12,000 members application over the past couple of weeks. Members agreed a proposal from the National Secretary for the National Conference to be held in the summer at TBC, which will focus on drive towards independence. Members noted the latest update from the Governance Review Group, which reported that an initial review of submissions was complete and would now focus on 2 standards of recommendations, one operational, one structural. The next step will be an options paper on potential rulebook changes, just so they can bang anybody in the regional list without them being elected. The actual took minutes of the meeting. They're not trying to set anybody up at this point. Members agreed that post-election there will be focused discussions on independence planning at the next NEC meeting. We are prepared for a second referendum. Oh, come on. They appear to be in deep doo-doo. Burger la panda. Oh, that's so funny. It gets more interesting by the day. Not trustworthy or honest, but definitely interesting. Oh, she's a wee cat. I thought she was a wee squirrel there. Meg Mells says, if for no apparent reason you would not give people access to documents, notes, papers, accounts, it could, it can, but doesn't always mean that they might be a good reason why. Perhaps an attempt to cover up or hide something. What is the time? Thank you. What would we do without you? Yeah, I think so. These guys, let's read some more, because I quite like these guys. These are Wings Over Scotland guys. I don't know what sort of guys they are. Certainly their journalism's great. The big win. Will we just work our way back? There was something that was quite interesting I saw the other day though. I can't remember what it was. So this is the big win. It's our grave duty to inform readers that Casey Dugdale will be the next First Minister, Ferguson of the Times has done in a tweet. Oh dear, when was this? 9th of March 2021. Reverend Stuart Campbell. Worth remembering that Sturgeon is fighting on two fronts. She accused of leading a conspiracy to manufacture false evidence to put Salmond in jail, and she now facing accusations over the ministerial code. She's won the first battle and won big. It's the second one that's now in question. Oh, aye. It's curious to say before either of inquiries have been delivered to its report. The only people who are asserting that Sturgeon has been somehow cleared of involvement in the conspiracy are the SNP and the Greens. Even their own voters are split down the middle on it. Let's just check on how big the SNP are winning right now. The inquiry began at the start of August. Oh, so they're going right down, are they? So, oh my goodness, we're on 57%. And now they're on 46. My God, oh my goodness. So they've been cut right back. I don't know if this is the first or second vote. Who's the winners? Labour's going down, as usual. Labour's collapsed. So the Conservative look like they're going up. The Liberals are going nowhere. And the others, so I think there's like the UK Reform Party are going up, and the Scottish Libertarian Party are going up. So I think that's the UK Reform Party. I think the Scottish Libertarian Party are doing very well. At that point, the SNP had a 37-point lead over and a breathtaking 43-point lead over Scottish Labour. I think Scottish Labour are going down. Even as I think that Scottish Labour might disappear just up their own backside, so that they could actually totally disappear as a party, just become a total shell of a party. Even recently as mid-November, when the inquiry had failed to attract any serious public attention, the SNP polling had barely been grazed. So they were still ahead, significantly ahead. Look up the SNP news members, Dr. Diane Jones. Look up Diane Jones, will you? You want to see? Is this a American singer-songwriter? Diane Jones, SNP. Major protection works. Can you send me a link or something to her? David, send me a link to her on the minutes here. They actually took minutes in the meeting. Hi all. So, where are we? I can't see her. Diane Jones, Scottish National Party. Scottish National Party. Oh, you need to send me something. Oh, here we go. Is this her? Send me a link to her. Can't find her. So, where? Oh, that's back to the other one. Oh, a 37-point lead. Let's get rid of this one. Oh, 3 days ago. So the SNP are falling now in the polls. Massive pullback there. I mean, that's huge. Look how much, 57%. They were on for a massive win, and now they're not going to potentially get a majority. And I believe in the second vote, even more people are drifting away to vote for the Scottish Reform Party and the Scottish Libertarian Party, UK Reform Party. So they're drifting away. They're really increasing. I think they might even get MSPs on the regional list, both of them. 3 days ago, before last night's bombshell revealed that even the most toothless Hollywood inquiry had found the First Minister misled Parliament. those leads were down to 22% and 26%. Huge drops of 15 and 17%. Oh my goodness. Well, these people are starting to wake up to it. I mean, that's incredible. And the fact that Nicola Sturgeon, maybe like I think it was a general in Germany, they wanted, or Hitler, they didn't want assassinated because he was doing so badly. He then became a handicap for the party. So I think that other parties don't want Nicola to resign because she's now seen as damaged goods. And if she does resign, they might have a better chance at this election. Some people might go back to the SNP, but she's seen as damaged goods. So if she goes into this election, although she'll do well enough, but the SNP will fail to actually get the majority that were on course before she lied to the Parliament. Continually, I would have suggested, but it'll be very interesting to see what Hamilton's report says, the QC says, over the next couple of weeks, whenever it's actually delivered, because he will, if he says anything, you it on Twitter, mate, ever? It's on Twitter. Trollzoo exposed it. Trollzoo, Twitter. I mean, there are a right bunch of wacky yahoos in the SNP. Absolute loonballs. Trollzoo. Troll. Oh, is that her there? Diane Jones. Doctor, wife. This is Dr. Diane Jones, an oncology fellow at the Richard Veerman Health Centre in Edinburgh. That was quick. This is Trollzoo exhibit is now closed. Diane Jones, account suspended. Dr. Diane Jones from Edinburgh loves the SNP. She's just joined the party. I've made up my mind. I've officially joined the SNP. Stand with Nicola. I stand with Nicola. Both votes SNP. There's a little bit of Diane. Is this some random woman they've just pulled off the internet? oh, she's Russian. It's in Russian. Oh my goodness, a beautiful in Guerilla as well. Oh dear. Oh come on. No, Diane from Edinburgh loves the SNP. Oh, does she? Oh, is she the newest member in the SNP? Have they got Russian bots? It doesn't seem likely that a doctor would tweet this either. Shit work by team. Delivered vaccine to 544,000 people yesterday. Each jab brings us one step closer to death. Oh my God. Oh. Like every true serious Scotsman knows, Mel Gibson is the symbolic figurehead of Scottish independence. What do you think about it? We need a hero like like him for freedom and voting on the 6th of May 2021. What do you think? I stand with Nicola, resign Boris. Keep Scotland moving. Down the pan. Both votes SNP. Vote yes and make it both votes SNP. Oh, is there some Russian women? We don't have any more time on it. No, do you not? No, that's absolutely dynamite. Many doctors and tweets that they have generated by machine. Oh, right, many of Dr. Dan's tweets look like they've been generated by a machine, though. Oh, no. Oh, please, stop. Is this the 12,000 that they've got? Oh, my goodness. Oh. Oh, this has done it for me. Click your notifications. Click the tweet. Click your notifications. He's that trolls. Following these characters. 26 has been suspended. Oh, they can maybe make her put her on the Treasury committee. Oh dear. Oh my goodness, we are a banana republic. Under Nicola Sturgeon. Vote banana. That's why they're yellow. Oh dear. Vote banana. Vote banana. Oh, I've lost it. I've totally gone. Hey, vote banana. You vote bananas for Banana Republic. Vote banana yellow for Banana Republic for the Scottish National Party. She was in Britain first last year. Oh man, honestly, I think that's absolutely, vid is awfully blurred. Is it blurred, is it? It's coming through loud and clear here. Last year. Man, honestly, I think that's absolutely, vid is awfully blurred. Is it blurred, is it? It's coming through loud and clear here. Maybe I've got it in 4K, and maybe because I'm getting a very clear picture through there. So how would I reduce this? Let's try this. So maybe 4K, maybe that's, oh, high rate. High, blah, 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 blah. Is that any better? Let's see if that's better. Come on. Let's see, did that work? Yeah, does that look better, yeah? Can't even see it. This will get perfected one day, and everything's going to work absolutely perfectly. Let's see if that's better. Come on, Lord. Isn't it? Let's see if we can reduce that a wee bit more. Let's see, did that work? Yeah, does that look better, yeah? Can't you see it? This will get perfected one day, and everything's going to work absolutely perfectly. Let's see if that's better. Come on, Lord. I don't know if that's actually working better. So, let's see this. Let's continue. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Oh my God, I swear. Oh, there's our old pal Hodges. So who's resigned today? Oh, former fine. Oh, he resigns. Oh well. I'm surprised at that. He was telling us a funny story about him going to conference and being pissed the night before and him stinking of booze. Terry Mackay or some boy resigns from the SNP following suspension. Scotland's former finance secretary. What the hell? How come all the finance secretaries all resigned from the SNP? It's not their own internal internal audit. Where's the missing £500,000? So this is in the Herald, and this was by Greg Young, written by Greg Young. Scotland's former finance secretary has resigned from the SNP more than a year after he was suspended from the party over messages he sent to a teenage boy. Derek Mackay resigned as finance secretary hours before he was due to deliver the Scottish budget on February the 6th, 2020. Following reports, he sent hundreds of messages to a 16-year-old boy on social media. Now, I think Derek is also the head of the Boys Brigade in Paisley as well, or certainly part of the Boys Brigade. Oh dear. So the Scottish report reported Mackay befriended the teenager on Facebook and Instagram, and he sent him 270 messages. Oh man, I couldn't be bored with that. Renfrew North and West MSP was suspended from the SNP pending further investigations, but continued to sit as an independent. Oh, did he? He told the party he is resigning to focus on recovery from mental health and serving my constituents. So he's not resigned as an MSP, he's just resigned from the SNP. An SNP spokesman said Derek Mackay has resigned his membership of the SNP, bringing the matter to a close. As widely reported last year, Mr Mackay was receiving mental health support, and as a result, disciplinary action was paused. We wish him well for his recovery. Mackay wrote to the SNP National Secretary earlier this week to inform the party of his decision. In a letter he wrote, I write to confirm I am not seeking SNP membership and continue to focus on my recovery of mental health and serving my constituents. I don't know if he's going to stand again or not, I'm not sure. Announcing his resignation on Budget Day last year, Mackay admitted he had behaved foolishly and apologised unreservedly to the individual involved and the individual's family. Police Scotland carried out investigations into the message Mackay sent to the teenager and concluded no crime was committed. So that's quite interesting. There's nothing stinks at the heart of the SNP, is there? All goes back to me, Nippy. Oh, there's a spectator, Fat Andy's mob. So let's see what Fat Andy's saying. So there is an important thing I just remembered that it's in the Spectator. I'll get to that in a second. Scotland is being ushered towards an era of censorship, threats and state repression by Herr Führer Sturgeon. Vote SNP for the jackboot of authoritarianism. Oh dear, a hostile lesbian, oh dear. Come on. Well, here we go. So who's this? Fat Andy? Is this Fat Andy? The Spectator, the Crown Office, the Spectator, and fight for a free press. Now this is important because I'm going to show you something. In fact, I'll show you just now. I don't like teasing people for things. So this is actually genuinely important. Although I call Fat Andy, he is the lead journalist in Scotland. In the UK, he is probably the best journalist. And this is a serious situation of the redacting of information. So I would definitely set up a fundraiser, and I'm sure I would contribute as well as everybody else contributing to this. So this is the things that they want to censor don't identify any complainants. So they've now after redacting the things, they can implicate the Crown Office, redacting the things in Alex Salmon's submission to the actual parliamentary committee, the Fabinini committee, and then they went and got the the Spectator came in and said, let's clarify what can be submitted. And then the Crown Office said, yeah, we want everything redacted that's going to implicate wee Nippy. And now they came back and said, we want more stuff redacted. Oh dear, these guys are crackpots in the SNP. Now this is very important. So this gentleman, I don't know this gentleman's name, he's got a very plummy voice. So what they've asked now, so listen to this, the things they want to censor, so the Crown Office, wee Nippy through the Crown Office, the corruption of between the government and the judiciary. The things they want to censor don't identify any complainants, but they do contain embarrassing allegations against the Sturgeon government. If we say no to the redacting these further that's on the Spectator's website, we could have a fine of £50,000. They are stopping the whole truth from coming out. Oh dear. Vote Nippy, get authoritarian.
It's incredible. Well, this is Alex Salmond's evidence has been on our website for a couple of months now. And only now does the Crown, after he gave evidence to the Scottish Parliament, does the Crown Office get in touch saying, actually, we'd like you to redact this and this and this and this, a long line of things they'd like us to censor, which do not, as they pretend, identify any complainants against Alex Salmond, but they do contain lots of embarrassing allegations against the behaviour of Nicola Sturgeon's government. So now we are being asked to redact, to censor, things that have been on our website for a couple of months. And the thing is, if we say no, it is absolutely unpredictable what would then happen to us. The Crown Office says we'll be criminally liable, or perhaps we would. But then what sort of charge would we face? We've been advised we could have a fee of about £50,000. Now that is a lot of money for a small publication like ours, but it could be more than that. It could be up to £100,000. There is no cap. So what we're doing here is we're telling our readers this is what's happening. These are the threats that we're under, and this is the position. We, as a publisher, we could probably afford to take it if it were reasonable damages, but we couldn't afford to take a six-figure fine. Now, if we haven't still decided what we're going to do here, but what we are going to do is be completely transparent with readers every step of the way and let people know what's going on behind the scenes to stop journalists reporting the story and to stop the whole truth from coming out.
Yeah, well, I would do a fundraiser, and even I would, even though Fat Andy was very nasty to me, and I'll get to Fat Andy later, I would definitely help them out if they were required to raise money. I would definitely contribute to any fundraiser to make sure that the Spectator weren't being silenced by a corrupt Crown Office through the SNP. Oh dear, I'm just waiting for the Stasi to come through the door just now. What's going on? Who are you guys voting for? Oh, they don't like media, they can't control exactly. David Davis is on this as well, is he? Hello there, Michelle, hi there. Exactly. How's the young lad's mental health? Exactly. For another cover-up. Oh, another one follows the Gay Cabal, the Gay Mafia. Cam's cool, Guerilla man. Thanks, Dave. Vid is clear. Clear here. That's great. This is nothing less than bullying from the government. Of course, Marion. Of course. Marion. Is that you, Marion? Marion. So, let's continue with this in the Spectator. Oh, is this the same thing? Or is that the same thing? Say any more?
COVID-19 in the UK at the moment.
So, I think we'll skip along here.
I think
What's Fat Andy saying?
A vaccine that they say they don't want to use because they...
Even sadly, horrendous for all.
...was going on there. Meanwhile, we learn that $500 billion left the Eurozone region in the...
I think that it's unlike the educational sector and our economy. Government
against the government was based around competence. Problem that there'll be huge...
Pontons. None of you have an Irish name. They decided they were not to be welcomed in an apparent attempt to keep out Irish travellers. It didn't dawn on us. Now, our final segment, Scotland. The former Brexit Secretary David Davis made a significant intervention in the Commons this week, invoking parliamentary privilege. He revealed new information passed on to him by a whistleblower on the salmon sturgeon Scramack.
Alex Salmon.
Scottish for that, in Scotland, casting yet more doubt on Nicola Sturgeon's version of events. He joins me now, together with Fraser Nelson, the editor of The Spectator, another Scot, this week carries a powerful editorial on the matter. Welcome to you both. David Davis first, why did you decide to get involved?
Alex Salmon asked me.
Well, sort of two things were happening in parallel. Firstly, you had the two trials that Alex Salmon went through. I mean, the civil trial, which he won by a spectacular margin, punitive.
I don't think David Davies is a massively inspirational political figure, but I do think he's quite a solid political figure. He's not set the heather on fire, but he's certainly a solid political figure, and he's blown the whistle a number of times, and I think he's a capable man that's contributed to British politics.
Possibly and so on. And the other one, the criminal trial. Now, whenever somebody you're friendly with goes on trial, I always suspend my judgment for the duration. I try not to come to a view either way. But again, despite 14 charges, he's exonerated all of them. I thought, this is something odd's going on here. So I started to pay attention to it. That was the sort of first half. But the other thing is watching the behaviour of the Scottish Government. I mean, your paper, The Spectator, and in fact, you wrote in the Daily Mail on it and so on. So all of those things came together, and I started to look at it and ask around and see what was going on and so on. And then
we started to watch the Guerilla TV channel, and he knew we were right ahead of the curve.
Sent a package of papers, which was the Sue Ruddock texts, and I started to unpick it all, and
we want to see these texts. Why can we not see these texts? What's the problem? Just release them. Just whistleblow and tell us what they said in the Parliament. What's your problem? We want to know how damaging these texts are. If these are really damaging texts, we'll all be able to assess it up here. We'll know automatically if these are gotcha texts, if this is a big thing or a little thing. So we really need to require to see these texts and have an understanding of whether or not this is a gotcha.
It became clear to me that something was wrong in the state of Scotland, basically.
Yeah, Nicola Sturgeon.
What I'm uncertain about in this interview is what you can talk about that you talked about in Parliament covered by privilege and what you can't talk about. Because you're not now covered by privilege and neither is Spectator TV. Do you have a clear idea what you can say to us today?
Up to a point, but look, one of the interesting things that's been happening in Scotland is the behaviour of the Crown Office, right?
You think? You think there might be a problem in the Crown Office? Oh well, I mean that's very subtle, Mr. Davies.
And the Crown Office, in my view, has been stretching, even in Scottish law, has been stretching its powers to the limit.
Yeah, they make Venezuela proud, honestly.
Asserting to everybody from journalists to Salmon's lawyers to the Hollywood Committee that they can't publish this, they can't summon that, they can't do this or that.
She's going to start goose-stepping lessons in the next SNP conference.
Actually, things properly done by a court, not by a prosecuting authority. Remember, they're the equivalent of the CPS in England. They're not a court. And just before I came on air here, I had a call from a journalist saying, "Oh, the Crown Office are going to be looking into where you got all this information." To which I'm afraid my response was, "Tell them to go back and read their law books about parliamentary privilege." But there are grey areas in it.
David Davies rightly pointed out that the Scotland Act needs reformed. So Bojo needs to get on it and actually reform and get the separations of power, especially in this transformative time. Because if these separations of power weren't in place and Scotland did become independent, they were in real trouble from an authoritarian like wee Nippy.
Much of what I said in the chamber was already public domain. I mean, Kenny McCaskill's put some stuff in the public domain, ex-Justice Secretary. So it's some of it's at the margin. Some of the text messages were new, and some of the emails were new. They may well fall within privilege, and so I'm going to stay off them. But quite a good chunk of it was actually perfectly possible to do publicly, but it had never been done.
Say it! We want to know what's in the text messages. Say it! Come on!
So for some reason, nobody laid out the sort of narrative of the three great problems. The problem of how they first investigated Sam.
Listen, we've already been talking about this in the Guerilla TV channel. Don't kid yourself on that we've not been discussing this. We understand you're a bit late to the game, and we understand politics goes slow, but we've already been discussing this long before you mentioned it in your speech.
Was that fair? The problem of how they behaved with the judicial review, and the problem eventually of the way the Crown Office and the government, the Scottish Government generally, have sought to sort of shut down the review, shut down the access to information.
They're shutting down freedom of speech under Hum's are useless.
Break it up into small pieces, make it more complicated. It needs to be. So it's actually very difficult, even for Scots following it on a day-by-day basis, to understand it all. So the answer to your question is I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to be quite careful in answering your questions today.
Well, let me approach two things, because there are two major issues here. Well, one is, did Nicola Sturgeon mislead Parliament about what did she know and when did she know about the internal Scottish Government investigation into Alex Salmon? The second is Mr. Salmon's
everything gets orchestrated, apparently.
claim that there was a wider conspiracy to do
allegedly.
So let me start with the first one. Having reviewed the evidence and looked at the emails and seen what you've seen, is it clear in your mind that Nicola Sturgeon, in terms of what did she know and when did she know it about the complaints process, has been with the Scottish Parliament and the Scottish people economical with the truth?
The answer is, I don't know. It's pretty plain that she knew about the Salmon investigation, I think on the 28th of March, i.e. 4 days before her claim date of April the 2nd. What is much more concerning is whether she knew much earlier than that. Now, the trouble is, I raised an email in the House which implied that her Chief of Staff knew significantly earlier, but it only implied it. It didn't prove it bang to rights, as it were. But that email, or that exchange of messages between the investigating officer and another member of the Scottish Civil Service about, and it had the quote, Liz interference v difficult, or I've forgotten the exact phrasing now, but it's in Hansard. That should have been with the inquiry. That should have been presented, without me raising it in Parliament, that should have been presented to the Holyrood Parliamentary Inquiry, and it wasn't. And with it should have been all the stream of messages, all the stream of electronic records that show who Judith McKinnon, the investigating officer, talked to, who the Chief of Staff to the First Minister talked to, really, whether there are any trails showing prior knowledge. That hasn't been done. And if this were a UK parliamentary inquiry, and I were the chairman of it, it would have been done months ago.
Yeah, that's why we need a judge-led public inquiry into this. We need somebody overlooking into all of this.
And the second big issue is, was there a wider conspiracy to bring down Alex Salmon? If it couldn't bring it down from the Me Too investigation, could they then make it a criminal matter and bring him down that way. Now, many people from the outside have thought this is the bit that's more far-fetched, that there was a conspiracy to try and destroy him. But when you've seen the evidence you've seen and the exchange of emails, it is possible that there was a group of people, including civil servants within the Scottish Government and SNP apparatchiks at the highest level, when you see the exchanges in the emails that you've seen, that they were out to bring Alex Salmond down. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think it is possible. I think, look, it may be more than possible. When I first looked at that aspect of it, you know, Alex Salmond made a claim in front of the inquiry, a very strong claim about this. And there's a piece of me that said he's been under formidable pressure for 3 years. If I'd been in a criminal trial, my judgment might not be right. And so I discounted it, to be honest, in my head. But when I looked at I actually put in order a sequence of text messages, the ones that both in the public domain and a couple that I also revealed. When I put them in order, I thought, actually, you know, this looks quite serious. And the interesting thing was, for me, the most interesting thing, there were references to phishing and there were recurrent discussions with an individual complainant and so on. But the thing that was for me most persuasive was that actually within the SNP organisation itself, there were concerns about what was called suborning of witnesses, you know.
Which means they were trying to get women to come forward to make the complaints. MD finds coming forward and making a complaint. We need to actually know who these people are. We need to find out if they have done this criminally.
Joanne Cherry, one of the who's a QC.
Jojo Cherry. Jojo was a man who thought she was a woman.
Reflected that at the National Executive Council of the SNP and said people in Westminster were worried about it. Staff members in Westminster were worried about what was going on. And that seems to be, you know, if they thought that at that time, and they would have known far more than was in the text, then there really is a strong case to answer. That's the point I made. There's a prima facie case here,
which is criminal.
There's a strong case to answer, and if it is true, then it shouldn't actually be the inquiry. Probably, I mean, if the Hollywood Inquiry won't do it, it perhaps ought to be the police doing it, because it's a very, very serious. Very, very serious issue. You know, I'm not an expert in Scottish law, but if I were interfering with or talking to or trying to persuade a witness in a criminal inquiry, whilst the police were actually carrying out their inquiry, then I think I'd be breaking the law here. So I do think it needs proper investigation, and so far it hasn't had it.
All right. Let me bring Fraser Nelson in now. He's been listening patiently. Fraser, where does David Davis's intervention leave us, do you think?
Well, the difference now is that the Alex Salmond story has been told in full in the House of Commons. Now, this matters because
we haven't heard the texts, we want to hear the other texts.
Any other environment, whether it be a Scottish newspaper, the Scottish Parliament, even the Spectator, are subject to the threats of lawyers who can say, oh, look at this, you can't say this and you can't say that, and if you do, we might come after you for contempt of court.
I'll say it on the Guerilla TV channel.
Now, the Scottish Parliament itself isn't protected from these lawyers, although the House of Commons is. You can say anything you like in the House of Commons, and not only that, journalists can also report. So the parliamentary privilege is sort of extended in a way to journalists. If they report on what was said in Parliament, we can't be sued for that. So what we have done is taken David Davis's speech and put it word for word on our website so everybody can read it. Now this has indeed made a difference because it's put into the open something which wasn't really before, and that's the extent to which journalists have been menaced by the Crown Office, and even Scottish parliamentarians have been told.
Nothing fascistic about the SNP. You want these clowns to be governing you? Oh my goodness. I'm not against Scottish independence, but I certainly don't want the SNP anywhere near the positions of power.
To be careful.
Under Nicola Sturgeon, less so under Alex Salmond.
What they say. And in that way, These are these very, very strange circumstances in which we are trying to tell one of the most explosive stories in modern politics. But Alex Salmond isn't just saying that he thinks that he was wrong by Nicola Sturgeon. He's saying that her allies conspired to have him imprisoned. You don't get
criminal
allegations more explosive than that in politics. And he might be telling the truth, he might be completely fantasizing. The only way you can decide is if you hear what he has to say. And if you hear and you read his written evidence.
I like his raspy voice. Maybe I should start talking like this. And Alex, we need to know what he's got to say.
Now, we put it on our website because his written evidence is a public document. People have got the right in a democracy to hear what's being said against the powerful people running that government. But this is becoming increasingly difficult under increasing censorship. So, in intervening in the House of Commons, David Davis has put a lot of things on the record which might otherwise never have seen the light of day.
because the Crown Office is redacting all.
The Spectator editorial says today no Lord Advocate equivalent would dare speak to the Westminster Parliament in that way. It would be inconceivable to do so. But despite all the efforts of the Crown Office to shut it down and to redact and to make very relevant information unpublishable and to try and close the whole debate, there are signs, Fraser, I would suggest, that this is now having at last some cut-through. That long line of opinion polls showing a majority for independence has now ended. The latest polls show independence now in the minority. And it looks like it's going to be a much bigger struggle for Nicola Sturgeon to get an overall majority in the May elections than it did only a couple of months ago. Is that right?
I'd say so, and that's because I think the debate is slightly changing. Up until now, most normal people couldn't get their heads around why it mattered if Nicola Sturgeon said a meeting had taken place on the 2nd of April or the 28th of March. It seemed to be a lot of fuss about nothing. But it's becoming clearer now that there's a new problem, a new scandal, and that simply is of SNP overreach, of the emergence pretty much of a one-party state in Scotland. When it's got the majority, it's got control of the courts, there's no separation of powers, so it can get the lawyers to menace the press. And this creates a second question. Does Nicola Sturgeon deserve a majority if this is how she uses it?
No.
Will it be the case that
No, she doesn't.
The Scottish democratic system is now being threatened by an overpowerful government which is overreaching in its powers? Now, just as Theresa May was not given a majority in her general election, people thought, yes, you're better than Jeremy Corbyn, but you're behaving in a bit of a power-hungry way, you do not deserve a big majority. Maybe Scots are beginning to think the same about Nicola Sturgeon, that yes, you know, you're probably a better First Minister candidate than the rest, but do you really deserve to have majority power when we now know, and we see examples of that power being abused? I think that's when a lot of people are having the second thoughts.
And meanwhile, the Crown Office is still trying to shut you down. The Crown Office still wants you to take out or redact substantially Alex Salmond's submission to the parliamentary inquiry. This despite the fact the Spectator went to court. The judge raised no objections to doing it. It's been up and is still up now for many weeks. It kind of beggars belief, the behaviour.
It doesn't. We're living in a totalitarian system where we have his Herr Führer, a justice Crown Office that's under the knee, and Humza useless taking away our freedoms of speech under wee nippy. It's completely normal.
If you're in the Crown Office now, does it not?
It's incredible. Well, Alex Salmond's evidence has been on our website for a couple of months now. And only now does the Crown, after he gave evidence to the Scottish Parliament, does the Crown Office get in touch saying, actually, we'd like you to redact this and this and this and this, along
anything that says Sturgeon on it, please take it out.
line of things they'd like us to censor, which do not, as they pretend, identify.
It didn't identify anybody in the last redaction, apart from Nicola Sturgeon.
Any complaints against Alex Salmond, but they do contain lots of embarrassing allegations against the behaviour of Nicola Sturgeon's government. So now we are being asked to redact, to censor things that have been on our website for a couple of months. And the thing is, if we say no, it is absolutely unpredictable what would then happen to us.
Taking out the bank, sure.
Office says we'll be criminally liable, or perhaps we would. But then, what sort of charge would we face?
They'll just make it up. They'll fight you up with false sexual allegations.
Advised we could have a fee of about £50,000.
They'll go fishing for complaining.
Lots of money for a small publication like ours, but it could be more than that. It could be up to 100,000. There is no cap. So what?
We'll chip in. Count Dankula, get Count Dankula to fundraise for you.
What we're doing here is we're telling our readers this is what's happening. These are the threats that we're under, and this is the position. We, as a publisher, we could probably afford to take it if it were reasonable damages, but we couldn't afford to take a six-figure fine. Now, if we haven't still decided what we're going to do here, but what we are going to do is be completely transparent with readers every step of the way and let people know what's going on behind the scenes to stop journalists reporting the story and to stop the whole truth from coming out.
David Davis, your interventions had an impact, there's no question about that. It also, though, raises it almost raises more questions that need answered, that have been answered so far. Where do you go from here? What can you do now?
You go to the Gulag.
Well, I think the first thing, I remember that the context of the debate was about what we do about the what Westminster set up in the way of the Hollywood Parliament. You know, we didn't establish separation of powers. And that needs
that was rather stupid
to happen. In other words, a separate Director of Public Prosecutions over whom Nicola Sturgeon or whichever First Minister has no power whatsoever. We do need to do something about the Scottish Civil Service, which is sort of treated as a sort of division of the UK Civil Service, but without controls, without checks and balances, without ensuring its independence and so on. And we certainly need to do something about Hollywood's power to hold the government to account. I mean, look, Scotland had an absolute dominance of Labour MPs back before devolution, the early years of devolution. Now it's got an absolute dominance of SNP MPs.
Yeah, both equally as bad.
And what we see under those circumstances is
don't vote for the loony left.
Serial misuse of power. That's all.
Yeah, they're all crackpots.
That's the only way I can describe it. You know, that this should not happen. You know, the Hollywood should not be craven in front of their government. When you may remember, Andrew, when Damien Green was arrested for getting whistleblower information, it ended up with Michael Martin, the Speaker, effectively being sacked, losing his job because he let the police into Westminster. It ended up with Keir Starmer, then the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, having to say there's no case to answer. And it ended up with Damien Green being released because we maintain a separation of powers. And those same protections should exist for MSPs. And I believe that. Henry McLeish this morning came out saying the same thing, an ex-First Minister of Scotland. Kenny McCaskill, the ex-Justice Secretary, said, and I know a number of my Tory colleagues north of the border, both MSPs and MPs, think it's also the case. So I will argue, and I will argue with my own party, we should make this a part of our manifesto.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely, 100%. 100%, you should have done that.
Actually, any government in Scotland should actually be face proper checks and balances, both in the judiciary and in the legal sector, and also in Parliament. And only that way will you guarantee that the Scots actually get the government they deserve.
But final point to you, David, these are structural changes, which will take some time to implement. They will not affect what is currently going on in Scotland, or the current inquiry. Are you minded to use Parliament to reveal any more information?
Yeah, do it. We all want to know.
Information that would be helpful in the public domain. And if the Crown Office is still trying to redact a chunk of Mr. Salmon's submission, would you consider reading these redacted parts of the submission into the House.
We want to hear the texts. We've already read the redacted parts. I've already put it up on the Guerilla TV channel, the full summation of what's on Alex Salmond's full summation on the Guerilla TV channel. We've already read it out, what was on your website, unredacted. Just let's see the texts. We want to hear the texts from Sue Ruddock to see if it's a conspiracy.
Hansard record under parliamentary privilege.
Well, certainly if necessary, because like...
Do it. No, don't. We're not interested in Alex Salmond's summation. Read that out as well. Get an hour, but we're more interested in the texts.
I don't believe what the redactions... I'm actually your readers can tell by comparing what you've published and what the Scottish Parliament's published what the redactions are. And they're not to protect complainants, they are to protect Nicola Sturgeon. So the answer is yes.
We want to hear the texts, not the redactions.
Certainly I do that, but the truth is, it wouldn't even be necessary. There's a Wayback Machine. In California, there's on the internet that you go and look, not just at your publications, you go and look at the Scottish Parliament's previous publications, and they won't respond to the Crown Office, because they're there to deal with sort of tin-pot dictatorships and authoritarian regimes who want their information covered up. They said
yeah, Scotland just now under the SNP.
Attention to the Scottish Crown Office. So one way or another, yes, and I think if you get forced to a position where you have to take it down, I would be very inclined to find out.
We want to hear the texts, not the redactions.
Mechanism for entrenching it in Hansard for all time.
All right, David Davis, thank you. That authoritarian regimes, which some may now wish to add the current Scottish Government into that category. David Davis, thank you for joining us. President Nelson too. If there's two things that you should read this week, one is David Davis's speech in the Commons. It's all on the Spectator website.
Already gone through it.
Word for word. There exactly as he delivered it. And second is the Spectator editorial on this matter. It's a powerful editorial for press freedom.
Oh, I don't know whether I can be bothered, right? Oh, man, I'm going to be doing this, Spectator. Oh, press freedom. Oh, there we go. The powerful wield by Nicola Sturgeon and the Scottish Government means... let me just... who is this by? It doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you who the author is. So this is 20th of March. The Crown Office, The Spectator, and Fight for a Free Press. Oh, is this it? What was that? Oh. So you've got an audio file on this from The Spectator. Very good. Oh, audio settings. Formal. I need to subscribe. The power wielded by Nicola Sturgeon and her Scottish Government means it's hard to hold her to account for basic policy failures, of which there are many. It's even harder to investigate accusations that her aides conspired to frame and imprison someone who had become a political problem for her. I don't think it was a political problem at the time. I think if he had decided to come back and fight against wee Nippy and her being part of the globalist cabal, and not being very nationalistic, the Alex Salmond affair had shown that many ways the public prosecutors in the Crown Office, led by a member of Sturgeon's cabinet, had sought to censor and redact his allegations. The House of Commons is immune to the threats and menaces of government lawyers. The notion of parliamentary privilege, a cornerstone of British democracy, means that anything can be said within the walls of Parliament without fear of prosecution. David Davies, a senior Tory MP and lifelong member of a political awkward squad, this week took advantage of that privilege to give a no-holds-barred version of Salmond's story, including new allegations. Under British law, the notion of parliamentary privilege is extended to publications, so the Spectator cannot come under legal attack for reporting what is said in Parliament. Here is what we know. Salmond has suggested that the criminal allegations against him, he was acquitted of 13 charges of sexual abuse, were at least in part drummed up by Sturgeon. This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting that people would drum up false sexual allegations. That every one of them should go to jail. Were at least part of drummed up by Sturgeon's allies in the face of impeding defeat in the judicial review and to remove him from public life. Sturgeon denies she and her allies were out to get him, but her defence has been littered with contradictions, redactions, look over there, it wasn't me, it was a big boy, where am I don't know, I think I've got dementia, I'm totally fit to run the country. Get out. For instance, she said she only found out about allegations against Salmond in early April 2018 when the internal inquiry was already underway. Let me see what you guys are saying. I'd like to talk to you for a bit. Oh, everybody's, the YouTube's hiding all your comments from me. Let's see what you're saying. Trust me, your creator will judge you. Much love, especially for the real fight to come. The tower is tall, the fall is short, like her. Lop their heads, including these morons. I'll be the X-Man. Lied about her marriage, yes. Lied in court, lied to Parliament, lied to the men and women of Scotland every day. Be fucking warned that I'm not breeding. I'm not bred. I'm not bred. Redaction, suppression, truth. Get grip. You have no power, but I'm a freedom fighter. Don't trust the characters. Watch as the hits the fan and heads are on poles. I truly believe this is the only tip of the iceberg. Agreed, yeah. They lied in court, for goodness sake. These witnesses need investigated. Yeah, well said. Separation of power is key. Yeah, it is, guys. Magpies in every station. Yeah, apparently they can run railways. And Rail is the fat controller. Penfold. If SNP can't balance their own books, good luck with the Scottish. Exactly, Scottish accounts. They've not been balanced for years. £2 billion just disappears. This is nothing less than bullying for the government. David Davis on the wall, hello. Exactly. How's the young lad's mental health? Exactly, so I think I've gone right to the top here. Are you Humza's first hate crime bill arrest? Guerilla man. Probably you. Oh dear. Oh, he better watch what he's doing, because fate has got a funny way of slapping you back right in the face. For instance, she said she's only found out about the allegations against Salmond in early April 2018, when the internal inquiry was already underway. Davies read the content of the message between civil servants heading the investigation into Salmond, which described interference in the complaints process by Liz Lloyd, Sturgeon's chief of staff. It was sent on the 6th of February 2018. If this is true, it means we are to believe Miss Lloyd. Sorry, let me read that again. But Davies read the contents of a message between the civil servants heading the investigation into Salmond, which described interference in the complaints process by Liz Lloyd, Sturgeon's chief of staff. It was sent on the 6th of February 2018. And I don't think she was interfering on behalf of Salmond. I think she was interfering potentially against Salmond. That's why wee Nippy then said, I was going to mediate, but then I thought, no, I'll just not bother. That's what was proven by Hamilton, who was at the meeting on April the 2nd or 3rd. Gave no hint about the bombshell allegations against Salmond for 2 months. We've also asked to believe that Sturgeon's husband, the SNP chief executive, told her nothing about them either. When Salmon published his evidence, journalists were given legal advice not to report important parts of it. To do so, ran the argument, would violate the court order preventing the naming of complainants. Salmon's evidence names no one, so we're published on other websites with one redaction to address this concern. We duly received a threatening letter from the Crown Office in Edinburgh, so we went to the High Court in Edinburgh and sought clarification. Was there any legal impediment to the Spectator repeating the Salmon allegations? This mattered because the Holyrood Committee was also investigating them and wanting to publish Salmon's evidence too. The High Court raised no complaint about the publication and thereby given the green light to the parliamentary inquiry. Salmon's evidence was published by Holyrood too, after which the Crown Office censors swooped in Holyrood and bullied Parliament into withdrawing the evidence. We can now disclose the Crown Office is doing a clear-up job seeking to expunge remnants of Salmon's evidence from the internet. It has ordered the Spectator to make further redactions to the Salmon submission. If we fail to comply, we have been advised that we could face penalties in excess of £50,000. There's no cap, plus huge legal costs we would not recoup even if we win in court. So probably we would be looking at up to £500,000 if they lost. So it's quite a lot of fundraising, but I think we should all chip in to actually get them over the post. It's quite a risk, so we must consider removing Salmon's evidence from our website. We take solace in the fact it has been available for all to read for many weeks. We've already covered it on the Guerilla TV channel. They can take us to court, we've got no money. Especially over the crucial period when Salmon and Sturgeon gave evidence to the Holyrood inquiry. This underlines the absurdity of the Crown Office jackboot approach to the free press and in pursuit of an agenda which suits their political masters. Happy the original text remains published by an internet archive service in California which permanently stores internet pages. Does it? Aye. This service is valued by researchers who seek original documents censored by authoritarian regimes. The Crown Office, as part of the clean-up operation, told us to delete this version too. Lucky this is not in our gift. The Spectator opened its first edition in 1828 with the credo written by its founding editor and Dundonian named R.S. Rinthal. The principal object of the newspaper is to convey intelligence. The principal object of the Crown Office has not only been to stop intelligence being conveyed, but to delete intelligence from the public domain. The hurdle in front of the Spectator now is great. The Crown Office even told us not to tell readers about its demand. Come on! But we can't be silent about its mendacious threats to free press. Even if we end up succumbing to the censorship, we still put its methods on record. This is how SNP government and its supine supporters operate. The recently passed Hate Crime Act gives them more powers to menace the press. Scotland is being ushered towards an era of censorship, threats, state repression, authoritarianism, totalitarianism by wee nippy. We need to fight against it. The good news is, for those who cherish the principles of democratic debate and those of Scottish enlightenment, that's me, boys and girls, a libertarian liberal. That's us, classical liberal, libertarian liberalist. The party's coming soon that this will not happen without a fight. So that's why we have to back Fat Andy. Well, I don't know whether you want me to keep going. What's your thoughts? Do you want me to keep going? Or have you had enough? Benny Hill Theme tune comes to mind. F. Humza, tell that Pete he can catch me outside. Catch me outside! How about that? Even Mussolini got the trains running on time. Our Humza's first hate crime bill. Arrest the Guerilla man. The silverbacks here to get arrested. They've got my details now. Oh dear. So funny. What else have we got? We're getting tasty. Tasty. Oh look. This guy's picture. Like, this is great. I watched this.
So I went to the conference prep meeting. I went in. My First Minister saw me and she said,
This guy was the finance secretary.
thinking of alcohol. I went,
I can't imagine why everything's going wrong. Why £2.8 billion has just disappeared. I can't imagine this. Let's just get this from the start again. Where's the volume?
I got to the prep meeting, so I went to the conference prep meeting. I went in. My First Minister saw me and she said, you are stinking of alcohol. I went, yep.
Where's the 16-year-old boys?
She said, no, Derek, you're absolutely reeking. I said, yep.
Are you in the fun time? Are you in the fun time?
You want to know the First Minister? You want to know the truth? I think I'm still drunk.
So he's been getting rat-assed the night before the conference. Okay, listen, we all like a drink. I'm not here to criticise people having the drink, but it's certainly time and a place.
And she said, you're going to chair conference in that state? And I went, yep. And nobody will notice a thing.
I think that probably explains a lot about the SNP. Maybe they're all half-killed.
And nobody noticed a thing unless you were on the stage and you were intoxicated from the fumes oozing out of my body. So I was banned from the conference karaoke for as long I was business convener.
And now he's the business convener. And now he's suspended from the party. Oh, come on.
I'm no longer business convener, so my singing career is coming back tonight.
Well, Hum's a useless place in the call centre will be coming back as well.
Hey, I'm not going tonight because I've got media in the morning, so I'm going to be very responsible.
What? What is going on in my country? Oh dear. Oh my goodness, what is going on? What he said, there's nothing illegal or unlawful in the messages. Can you please advise on your justification for publication given the intrusion into my private and family life? Well, strictly, it may be true unless he's trying to bugger heterosexual young men, which that should be illegal. Predator, Dave. Oh dear. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Oh, where did that go? What's going on? What's going on? Come on. Oh, where was that? Let's go back to me, Nippy. Oh, it's too late for the big story to break just in time for Sunday press. What's that? Is it too late for the big story to break? Oh my goodness, what's going on? Oh, they're talking about what I've just talked about. They're all watching the Guerilla. You guys are all watching the Guerilla TV channel. What, like the £600,000 that has gone missing that Peter Morell won't let their own auditors look for? Is that the Resigned? That big story? Oh no. What else is there? It's never too late. We want ain't happening. Money. Tell us more. She's innocent, Hamza. Oh dear, everybody's taking the piss out of her. Now let's see if there's anything on this. This guy's quite funny. Nicola Sturgeon has broken the ministerial code, so must resign as First Minister. So when did that go out? 7 minutes ago. Scotland being ushered into a new era of censorship and threats. Well, we've done that, Spectator. Nicola Sturgeon above the ministerial code. I don't know if they've got anything else just now. It's all coming right thick and fast, isn't it? Well, here we go. When was this? 18th of March. So that was 2 days ago. Rape Crisis Scotland issue urgent statement. Humza plays the race card. Angus releases a poll. The Crown Office go on redacting speak and send threatening letters. Oh dear. Oh, it's so funny, isn't it? Oh, she's gone totally loony. She has gone batshit crazy. Not in public interest to release legal advice to holiday inquiry. Yeah, this is the woman we want as a leader. Oh, come on. The further a society drifts from truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. And that was George Orwell. This is. I've got something interesting for you later on tonight. The new strain of BS and a third wave of propaganda. I like this girl. Oh, normally I'd think something highly amusing to go with this photo, but let's face it, nothing could be funnier than TV's Nicola Sturgeon's face here. There's me. This guy's quite a nice guy. The Scottish rewilding. Oh yeah, I'm into rewilding as well. What else we got? Crown Office. Scotland has used as much effort to find out about the conspiracy under its nose as it has done to investigate the leak to David Davies. We might be able to describe its impartial. No ifs, no buts. Guilty must go. That's the national. Oh dear. Oh, it's so much fun. Oh, there we go. How are the police force behaving themselves today in London? Are they still heavy-handed with their batons cracking skulls? Or do they think we've gotten the message that we're wise to their anti-British hatred? Ah, very good. A case for judge-led public inquiry. Yeah, let's see this. This is what we need to do. Well done for the Scotsman. Nicola Sturgeon's resignation calls case for judge-led public inquiry grows. Scotsman comment. No First Minister is above the fundamental principle of honesty and trust. By Scottish leaders' comment on the 20th of March 2021. There is no arguing with Ruth Davis' remark made as she announced the Scottish Conservatives' plan to bring a vote of no confidence in Nicola Sturgeon. So we've got a vote of no confidence next Wednesday in Nicola Sturgeon. Now she's likely, with the help of the Greens, Patrick Harvey, because he's a wee gimp, has said that they're going to back her. So the Green Party have got absolutely no moral standards, no scruples at all. They'll just continue to back her, even though she has broken the ministerial code. So she won't lose the vote, but it will have an impact on the fact that I would suggest that all the other unionist parties will vote against her, and it will have an impact on her, on what she on the actual election itself, and reduce her standing. I don't think she'll last. If she lasts into the next election, I don't think she'll last very much longer. Others suggest it should be, although she could conceivably last. It will depend on how the figures work out for the other MSPs and how many MSPs she gets, rather than just no First Minister. So let me just go back that. There is no arguing with Ruth Davison's remark made as she announced the Scottish Conservatives' plan to bring a vote of no confidence in Nicola Sturgeon, other than to suggest it should be no one rather than just the no First Minister. According to reports, 5-4 majority of... Oh, sorry. No one rather than no First Minister. 5-4 majority of MSPs on the Holyrood Committee, the Fabinini Committee, investigating the Scottish Government's handling of complaints against Alex Salmond, has concluded the First Minister misled Parliament over the meeting she held with, I think she's done more than one, held with her predecessor in April 2018. 5 MSPs believe the evidence shows that she offered to intervene in the complaints procedure on Salmond's behalf, an allegation which is a bit of a strange one to get her on, but an allegation she denied, which she did not in the end actually do. The 4 dissenting MSPs are all SNP members. Nicola can do no wrong. It's almost becoming like a cult. So yeah. It is a further blow to the First Minister's credibility and reputation, but not necessarily a fatal one for her career. Many of her supporters will choose to see politics at work and put their faith in her denial. However, her problems can be significantly worse if Irish lawyer James Hamilton, who is investigating whether Sturgeon broke the ministerial code, concludes that she did. 2 findings that she misled Parliament would be too hard to dismiss, and she's off. So close to an election, the First Minister is highly unlikely to resign and will instead seek a favourable hearing in the Court of Public Opinion, which she definitely shouldn't get. She should get a Joe Swinton and get kicked out of her own seat. I don't know if the good people of the south side of Glasgow are going to be able to do that, but that's what should happen. But the opposition now the opposition now has considerable ammunition at its disposal to make the next 7 weeks distinctly uncomfortable. The Holyrood inquiry has at times been an unsatisfactory process. Yeah, you think you can say that again? And quasi-judicial affair, but the judges viewed by many as partisan. Come on. Oh dear. As well as we all know, justice must not just be done, but it seemed to be done. Well, it's definitely not been done here. It seems like the judiciary are corrupt. So it may well be that at some point after May's election, a full-scale public inquiry led by a judge with an impeccable track record will be required, 100%, and we'll look. I say it happens. And definitely 100% is required. If Sturgeon is being unfairly traduced, she would surely want that to happen in order to clear her name. No, she definitely would. But it should also enable us to get to the bottom of the whole lamentable affair, finally consign it to history and restore lost trust in the institutions of the Scottish democracy. Another good article, so that's in the Scotsman, and that was written by Scotsman lead comment. Does it tell you? By Scotsman's leader comment. Doesn't actually tell you. Usually give a shout out. So another good article in the Scotsman. Definitely subscribe to the Scotsman. What else have we got? What else have we got? That's the one I thought. I'm sure there's another wing. Scotland. Andrew Neil predicts election disaster for SNP. Yeah, they certainly declined from where they were. Child rapists who fled from court still on the run after 5 years. Oh, here we go, look at this. Hey! So, Nicola Morell, Nee Sturgeon, alias Thin Lips, and Helmet Head, and Wee Niffy. 1st September 2014, Glasgow Central. So this is a mock-up of a Crime statistic. Previously, convictions held by the CRO, guilty of breach of Solicitors Code 1998, accused of breaching Scottish Government Ministerial Code 2021, accused of lying to the Scottish Parliament Inquiry 2021, failing to address fall in Scottish educational standards, failing to improve Scottish NHS, impersonating someone who cares, being economically illiterate, being constitutionally thick, brainwashed, colourful citizens, lying to our electorate, lying to our party, encouraging anti-English racism, not answering emails. I like this one by Nippy Cranky. BLM demand race superiority, feminists demand sex superiority. It's the same energy that drives both movements. Don't be conned by either of them. Yeah, and I think that's completely accurate as well. Oh, like somebody shredding the SNP. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh, there's all the guys down in the march earlier on. This is in London. Anti-lockdown, anti-vax. Oh, that's them breaking through the cordons. Like, oh. Oh, overrunning the police. So, pretty useless Patel, child rapists, terrorists and serious criminals as well as failed asylum seekers will be stopped from exploiting modern slavery safeguards. Yeah, well, don't believe you. Female privilege. Oh man. Is it Ku Klux Klan supporting Jeremy Corbyn?
Deputy for 10 years that encouraged people to vote for him, that told people that, and I quote, Alex Salmond doesn't have a misogynistic bone in his body, he's the least sexist man I know. I think Nicola Sturgeon's probably the head girl of the old boys club that surrounds Alex Salmond, so she's not addressing any of the issues. She's not addressing any of the serious points that are being made about the conduct of herself and the people within her government. She's just trying to throw mud around to other people and see if it sticks. And she has been getting increasingly rattled. And you're right to say that some of the temperature has been rising in the Scottish Parliament as people are seeing the kind of the opportunities that they've had to try and obfuscate and keep things out of the committee's hands have had to be published, and the noose has got tighter, and she's lashed out, and that's fair enough because she's fighting for her political life, because this is serious. We have lost First Ministers in Scotland for less than this, for much less than this. And that's why we've said that if she had any shred of integrity, as somebody that called for a previous First Minister to go for less, and for a previous Labour Party to go for less, she should go herself.
Yes, go to jail, that's where she should go. Oh, here's me Niffy. Behaviour, I love Douglas Murray's a great guy. The behaviour of Nicola Sturgeon and her party reeks. He's looking good, old Douglas there, isn't he? I like Douglas, he's a class act. Douglas Murray, and this is in The Sun, and this was yesterday, the 19th of March 2021. The behaviour of rotten Nicola Sturgeon and her party reeks. She has to go. Yes! There was a time when the SNP pretended to be strong on principles. I think it was. I think it's just Nicola Sturgeon. That was a long time ago when they happened to be in opposition. Conclusion of the current investigation suggests that Sturgeon misled Parliament. 20 years ago, Labour ruled Scotland. The place had not yet become a one-party state. Back then, First Minister Henry McLeish got into a scandal about subletting part of... Yeah, this makes Henry McLeish's thing look like just a faux pas. And he resigned for it. At least Henry had a bit of honour about him. Me Nippy setting up her ex-mentor for false sexual allegations, allegedly. Fishing for people to come forward. Oh, come on. Part of his Westminster constituency office. It was a minor scandal, but the SNP smelt blood and had made a major stink about it. They roared at the Labour opponents that the behaviour of the First Minister must be beyond reproach. Well, how different these roars are now. It wasn't me, where's the magpies? I don't know where I am. Get the Crown Office involved, get the redactions out. Oh, come on. Oh dear. Get the shredders on, that's a shame. A shredder can only take 10 sheets at a time. She had to quit as a lawyer or she was getting barred, wasn't she? She looked a little bit like a Little Britain character. Did Nippy ever actually reply to your email, Davy? No, she did not. She did not, Malin. Yeah. If she stays, the whole campaign would be one question in her lies. That's right. She's been worn down so much, her messages will be lost. That's right. I can't believe Scotland has come to this, near can I? There's very good people in Scotland. I'm surprised we've got this. I think it's left-wing. Because everybody votes for left-wing parties, we're getting left-wing bad governance. That's what I've come to the conclusion. I think we need to bring it back to the centre. Not the Conservatives or the Lib Lab Con Party either. Not the Greens and not the SNP. That's my conclusion, political conclusion. If she stays the campaign, yeah. All things I could do if I had some borrowed money. All the things I could do if I had some borrowed money. It's the SNP's world. It's an SNP's world. Money, money, money. Where's the £500,000? She's in a cult. Oops, can't he spell right? You guys enjoy yourself. Be safe. Got to finish dinner. Peace. Alright, okay, buddy. You have a good time. Greens, uphill gardeners. Uphill gardeners. Oh, let's see what Douglas is. Come on, let's see what Douglas is saying. Well, how different are the roars now? They spend defending every action of the First Minister because now the First Minister happens to be Nicola Sturgeon, yet still the behaviour of Sturgeon and the party reeks. Oh, well, yes, that's right, Douglas. Over recent weeks, Scottish Parliament has been looking into the botched Scottish Government investigation into activities of Sturgeon's predecessor, Alex Salmond. It is now 4 years since Nicola Sturgeon became aware of the allegations of sexual harassment against Salmond. Since then, the trial of Salmond has come and gone, with the former First Minister acquitted of all sexual assault charges. But exactly what Sturgeon knew and when has been contested and contradicted, not least by Sturgeon herself. Oh, you can always tell when somebody's lying. Sturgeon claims to have heard nothing of allegations against Salmond until November 2017. Degrading site Holyrood Harassment Committee has already said that this is hard to believe. And the conclusion of the current investigation suggests that in claiming this, Sturgeon misled the Scottish Parliament. Parts of the cross-party committee report which criticised Sturgeon were agreed by 5 votes to 4, with SNP members voting against. A separate inquiry into whether she breached the ministerial code carried out by lawyer James Hamilton is also expected to be published in the coming days. For anyone wise enough not to follow SNP politics that closely, all this seems strange, but the scandal is all founded in the magnificent fallout between Salmond and his former protege. Salmond is still bitter at what he sees as political efforts to take him out, with the harassment allegations used against him as a pretext. For her part, Sturgeon appears to have seen her predecessor as a dead weight and one she wanted off her and her party's back. As a result, the SNP have been fighting like rats in a sack or gnats in a sack for the past 4 years. It's beautiful and degrading. It's a beautiful and degrading sight. For it is clear that there is nothing the Nats won't do to protect their patch. The SNP have spent its existence calling for institutions of its own, but now the Scottish Parliament has been apparently lied to. Its committees seen to be abused. Its justice system looks compromised, and even at this stage the SNP's response is to try and silence those who speak and expose political corruption. In recent days, The Spectator magazine has published documents from the inquiry which show the extent to which Sturgeon's versions of evidence differs from reality. The SNP response is trying to silence those who speak to expose political corruption. There's wee Niffy there, there's wee Niffy. The Spectator accuses the Crown Office, Scotland CPS, of trying to make a magazine remove large chunks of this. If so, it looks as though the Crown Office has been corrupted by the SNP. Oh, you think, Douglas, eh? You think that's what it looks like? The Crown Office is led by a member of Sturgeon's cabinet, so the official demand is a very political one. Fortunately, there are people in the Parliament in Westminster still dedicated to holding the SNP gang to account. Earlier this week, the Conservative MP David Davies used parliamentary privilege to reveal what the SNP would have tried to ban him from revealing elsewhere. The claim that Sturgeon's Chief of Staff interfered with the sexual misconduct investigation into Salmon or tried to gerrymander it. This is a very serious claim because it suggests that legal corruption in Edinburgh is even worse than previously been thought. It's like North Korea. Yeah, it is, mate. It's exactly that. Oh, fuck, I'm getting too excited. The Nats have been attacking their critics for not being Scottish or not living in Scotland or not having enough Scottish blood, all that sort of bigoted brutish tactics which people have come to expect from them. Sturgeon, and you want to see the lineup for the regional list then? Sturgeon's personal response to the latest revelations are typical. She tries to present herself as a brave victim. Oh, the brave victim of the old boys club. Holier than thou. A point that should not be lost. Sturgeon said this week is that her mistake was made in the course of the government trying to do the right thing. This is vintage Sturgeon, as though any politician would admit to wishing to be doing the wrong thing. Yeah, SNP always believe that everything and anything can be done because they are working for a bigger cause, independence. During the pandemic this whole past year, Sturgeon has worked away to try to undermine Westminster. Every time Westminster has announced something to keep British public safe, Sturgeon has tried to go further, always with the holier than thou manner. Now everyone can see that they are really what they're really like. The SNP want an independent Scotland, but they have failed the state they already have. But the fish is rotten from the head, and the head is Sturgeon. A rotten fish head. She go. What's this?
I stand by all the evidence I gave to the committee. All 8.
Oh no! Get back! Oh, where'd that go? Get back!
I stand by all of the evidence I gave to the committee. All 8 hours.
I don't know. Where's the me? Where's the magpies? Where am I? It was a big boy he did that he ran away. It was all Alex Salmon's fault. He's guilty. Even though he's proven not guilty, he's still guilty. He still was inappropriate.
Worth of evidence. I mean, what's been clear is that
you've lied.
Opposition members of this committee made their minds up about me before I uttered a single word of evidence.
Yeah, because we all know you lied.
Their public comments have made that clear. So this leak from the committee, very
to see you lied,
partisan leak tonight, before they've actually finalised the report, is
because they all know you've lied.
Not that surprising.
Yeah, excuse. Right, that's me. Tease out game's a bogey. I've got to do something anyway. Guys, I love my baby gorillas. Love you guys. Let's see what you're saying before we disappear. What's that noise? Oh, that in the head. What is that? What's that? Oh dear, let's see what you're saying before I go. Notice she just had her hair cut there. Yeah, she must be doing it herself. Besties would split her back out, feed her to Nessie. You guys are too funny. I bet she ruins the day when Peter says, hey, I've got an idea. If the milk turns out to be sour, I've heard for years salmon had slippy hands and sturgeon was partial muncher of the carpet. We need more Davy karaoke. Right, I'm out here. I love you guys. You guys, I've got the best baby gorillas anywhere, everywhere. Make Scotland great again. Yeah, that's what my slogan's going to be. Make Scotland great again. Don't worry, guys. You'll be kept informed. 1980, and don't let the big bugs bite. Some guy, Leeds United man's put Johnny Boy. It's like North Korea. I know, mate. I know it is like North Korea. Oh dear. I hope you enjoyed it. Love my baby gorillas.